So you think being a landlord is easy money? Well, what happens when that dream tenant turns into an absolute nightmare? That's what we're digging into today. We're going to unpack the really tricky legal maze landlords in New York have to navigate when things go south. We'll look at the laws, the labels that matter, and why sometimes it feels like there are no good options, all through the lens of one landlord's very real struggle. And where does our story kick off? Well, where else but Reddit, right? We've got a landlord from upstate New York, and they're in a tough spot. Their tenant isn't just not paying rent, they're getting hostile. This one quote here about the truck blocking everyone in, wow. It just perfectly sums up that feeling of total frustration and helplessness. You can feel it, right? This isn't just about the money anymore. It's about things completely falling apart. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly happened here? The tenant stops paying rent way back in March 2020. The landlord, trying to do the right thing, serves a legal 60-day notice to vacate. But nothing happens. The tenant doesn't budge because they're protected by an eviction moratorium. And it gets worse. The situation escalates, there's hostility, other tenants are being bothered. The landlord even offers $5,000. That's right, $5,000 in cash for the tenant to just pack up and leave. And that offer, completely ignored. The landlord is just stuck.
So when you're in a situation like this, you hit a fork in the road, legally speaking, and you have to make a really big decision right at the start. What's your main goal? Are you trying to get the rent you're owed, or are you just trying to get your property back? Because that one choice, it changes everything about what you do next.
And here are those two paths. On one hand, you've got a non-payment case. That's pretty much what it sounds like. You're suing to get the rent money. But on the other hand, there's something called a holdover case. And this is what our Reddit landlord is dealing with. This is what you file when you've already legally terminated the tenant's right to be there, and your only goal is just to reclaim your property. You're not asking for rent, you're saying you have to leave.
All right, so you've picked your legal path. Now comes another super important step. What do you actually call the person in your property? And trust me, this isn't just semantics. The legal label you use, whether they're a tenant, a holdover, or a squatter, is a really big deal. It dictates the entire process from here on out.
So, in the case we're following, the person is what's legally called a holdover tenant. Think of it this way. They came in the front door legally, with a lease, everything was fine, but then their legal right to stay ended, in this case with that 60-day notice. But they didn't leave. They are literally holding over past their welcome. That's the key. Now that's totally different from a squatter. A squatter is someone who never had permission to be there in the first place. They basically broke in or trespassed to get in. So the big difference, the thing that separates these two, is how they first entered the property. Was it legal, with a key and a lease, or was it illegal? And you know this distinction is a big deal because the law is actually changing to make it even clearer. There's a new update coming in 2025 in New York that's designed to draw a really sharp line between squatters and holdover tenants. The thinking is, hey, someone who trespassed onto a property shouldn't get all the same legal protections as a tenant who once had a valid lease, right? It's trying to close a loophole. Okay, so this is where your mind might go next. You might be wondering, wait a minute, if someone stays in a property long enough, can't they just claim it as their own? It's a common question, and it brings up this really fascinating and honestly misunderstood legal idea called adverse possession. So for someone to actually pull this off in New York, to claim adverse possession, it's not easy at all. They have to clear these 4 massive hurdles. First, their being there has to be obvious, not a secret. Second, they have to have exclusive use. They can't be sharing it with the owner. Third, their claim has to be hostile, which just means it's without the owner's permission. And fourth, and this is the real kicker, they have to do all this uninterrupted for 10 consecutive years. So yeah, the chances of your average holdover tenant doing this, almost zero. Okay, so if the tenant probably isn't going to end up owning the place, that's good news. But it doesn't solve the immediate problem. What can a landlord actually do? Let's circle back to our guy from Reddit and his very limited toolkit. He tried a bunch of things, but it felt like he was just hitting a brick wall every time. I mean, just look at this. He serves the legal notice, ignored, thanks to the eviction moratorium. He offers a generous cash for keys deal, also ignored. He even thinks about just towing the truck that's blocking everyone in, but his own lawyer says, don't do it. It could look bad in court and hurt your case. You can see why he felt like his hands were tied. He was totally hamstrung. And here's the really crucial takeaway from all this. Every single thing the landlord did was reactive. He was playing defense, trying to fix a problem that was already a huge mess. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could this whole nightmare have been prevented before it even started? And that brings us to what might be the single most important point of this whole explainer. Prevention is so much better than a cure. The smartest landlords don't spend their time reacting to problems. They focus all their energy on making sure those problems never happen in the first place. And where does that begin? It starts way back at the beginning, with how you market your property and screen your applicants. Seriously, think about your marketing as your first line of defense. Doing things like creating a really good video tour, that's not just about looking slick and professional, it's actually a screening tool. It gets your property in front of more people, which means you get a bigger pool of applicants to choose from. And when you have lots of choices, you can be picky. You can check every reference, run that credit report, and be really thorough. It's the best way to lower your risk of ending up in the exact situation we've been talking about. And you know, this whole story just perfectly highlights the tension at the heart of the issue. It's a delicate balancing act, isn't it? On one side, you have these really important laws designed to protect tenants, to give them stability and prevent unfair evictions. But on the other side, you have the rights of small landlords, who are often just regular people trying to manage an investment and, pay their own bills. And that brings us right back to the beginning. Back to that one gut punch of a line from the Reddit post, "My hands are tied." You can just hear the frustration in that, can't you? It's the sound of a small property owner who feels completely tangled up in this legal web, totally powerless, while their property and their financial well-being are basically being held hostage. So we want to leave you with this question to think about. In a system that's built to protect the vulnerable, and that's a good thing, finding the right balance is absolutely everything. So when the laws, as they should, protect tenants from the trauma of losing their homes, where does the protection for the small property owners, who can be just as vulnerable, actually begin? It's a tough question with no easy answer.